Hey, y'all. Thanks for tuning in to the Peace Podcast, Season 3, Episode 6. Just give me a strong opinion of me, whatever that looks like. And so, first of all, bear with me. I have a little bit of a headache, so I'm trying to muscle through this. The show must go on. And I thought that this message was too important to not make sure to share and record with you guys today. So, when I was teaching in the classroom, one of the things that I was very adamant about was ensuring that other teachers did not share their opinions of students with me. Like, let's say it was a fourth grade teacher and I was a fifth grade teacher and I was going to get that student the next year. I didn't want to know the fourth grade teacher's opinion of that student. Like, give me their, paperwork, give me their file, give me their, previous learning history and their grades and all of that. And I'm good with knowing that. But your opinion of that student, I don't really want to know. And there was a specific reason why I didn't want to know. And the reason was because I didn't want to formulate an opinion about that student before they ever even walked into my classroom, because I thought it important to consider the growth that they might have experienced over the summer. Maybe some of those traumatic situations that they were experienced had changed, and perhaps they were just a more mature person or student when they walked into the classroom. And so I gave them the opportunity to create a new perspective the first day they walked into my classroom, even if another perspective had been formed of them the previous year. And that really connected with the message for today for me, because oftentimes I feel like we allow our opinions of ourselves to be created and drawn by other people. And then we internalize what they have to say about us because we haven't quite gotten to know ourselves well enough to know whether we have a different opinion of ourselves. And it happens quite often when you're in relationship with toxic people, because those toxic people from probably childhood have told you who they think you are. Maybe they told you you were stupid. Maybe they told you you were fat. Maybe they told you you were stubborn. Maybe they told you that you weren't a good listener. Whatever the case is, those opinions were created by other people. And perhaps those opinions were based on fact at the time that those people experienced you. But you're a whole different person in a whole new season of life and a whole new grade level, creating a new perspective of you. And if you're not careful, if you don't truly know who you are, you'll walk around developing a strong opinion of you that was created by other people. So, the message of today, if you hear nothing else, is develop a strong opinion of yourself so that you don't internalize the beliefs of other people, the beliefs that they've created, that they have of you, that aren't necessarily in alignment with who you are and who you know you're operating in the world as. Because as we all know, people can only create an opinion of anything based on their own perspective and filters. And sometimes that includes their own conditioning. So, what we deem as good, what a good mom is, what a good dad is, all of that has been conditioned into us. And oftentimes we don't even really check with ourselves to see if we determine that that is a good whatever, fill in the blank here. And so we really have to stop placing so much emphasis on what the world thinks of us. Because I can promise you this, if you go out and ask 20 people their opinion of you, those 20 people are going to have different things to say based on their own unique interaction with you. So if you internalize all 20 of those things and you say you are all 20 of those things, some of them might be an inflated perspective of the good things. Some of them might be a deflated perspective of the good things. So it is only the capacity at which those people can create an opinion of you based on how you've interacted with them in their world. And that limits your own belief system about yourself. So, what do we do when we know that the way that we look at ourselves, the way that we truly see ourselves, the perspective at which we are looking at ourselves has been completely tainted and shifted by the opinions of other people, by the conditioning of other people, by the just thought process of the people around us? Well, the first thing that we really have to do is assess what you really think in this moment. So, as you draw breath and take up space right now where you're sitting, what are some things that you believe to be true about yourself? And this takes complete self awareness because we're not just saying, let's look at all the really great things about me. It's a complete package. What are my areas of growth? What are some things that I feel like make me glow? What are some other areas and opportunities that I have to work on things, to highlight things, to understand who I really am at the core of my being? This is also a time where you can assess what are my intentions and are those intentions what's actually being put out into the world? Because as you know, we have lots of intentions to do things and we have meetings with ourselves where we plan all of these things, but when we walk out into the world, it may not be what we actually put into the world. So you have to really assess what you think in this moment. And I'm talking about the current present moment. Take out a notebook, take out the note section of your phone, and write down all the things that you think about you right now. So if I were to do this, I might say, I can be a little bit short tempered when I'm overwhelmed. I do a lot of things, so I have a lot of things on my plate. I'm also intentional about friendships and I try to be as kind as I can be to people, but I also know that I have some very foundational truths that I believe and I'm not willing to, you know, deviate from those. I also know that in the current moment, my no is not always the strongest. These are things that you might sit with in this moment when you're processing those things about yourself. If you feel the need to pause right now and do this before you can go into the other couple of steps that I have for you, absolutely pause this video, take out your notes, and really sit with what is your current reality? What do you really think in this moment about you? I'm going to tell you before this is spoiler alert, before you do this, there are going to be a ton of things that are on this list that are not originated inside of you. They're going to be things that come from other people. Write those down anyway. Because if you believe you're stupid, if you believe you're fat, if you believe you're weak, if you believe you're an emotional basket case, whatever it is, you need to write that down because it's what you believe currently in this present moment. So if you want to pause the video and go do that, go do it now. If you pause the video and you're back, the next phase of this is to address where those things came from. So when you wrote that list, probably some of the things that you wrote down stung a little bit. You were like, well, I know it's not coming from me, but I believe it, so I'm going to put it down. It's not until we address where those things come from that we're able to really eliminate those conditioned opinions. So write down if that thing came from your grandmother. Like I can tell you if I wrote down that I felt like I was fat or overweight on my list, I'm going to 100% say that that came from interactions with my grandmother because of things that she said to me in those interactions. Did I hold the belief to be true for decades afterward? 100% absolutely. Is there conditioning from the world that tells me that there's only one standard of beauty? Absolutely. So I would probably also attribute that opinion to those conditioned beliefs too. You're going to go through every one of them and write down whether you believe them to be true. This is going to do something. It's kind of a twofold activity because the first thing it's going to do is allow you to see what beliefs actually came from other people and which ones came from you. The second thing it's going to do is cause you to really look at those attributes that you think are positive about yourself. Are they really true? Those attributes that you think are negative about yourself, are they really true? Like, are you believing them because someone else said them? Are you believing them because you want them to be true? Are they actually growth areas? It's going to allow you to really look at the intensity of that thing. Is it just an intention and not an actuality that you want to make an actuality? 100% you can make a plan for that. But you're thinking about what is this opinion? Where did it come from? And then also, while you're looking at where it came from, if it came from you, is it an actual truth? Like, is it a real thing that you should be thinking about yourself? Because oftentimes I think that the way that the world conditions us to think negative things about ourselves, sometimes it conditions us to inflate our perspective of ourselves. Yes, you're important. Yes, you're loved. Yes, you're beautiful. Yes, you're impactful and magnificent, and all of these things that you should be telling yourself and that you should be internalizing. All of those things are true. And we also have to be humble inside of that and realize that the world does not revolve around us either, even if we are all of those things. And that we can be all of those things, but also be humble and understand that just because we perceive ourselves as such doesn't mean that we get to walk in the world in an ugly manner, looking down on other people because those things are true about us. So that's what the really addressing where it came from does for us. It really gives us that perspective of, are my opinions and beliefs my own? And if they are my own, are they actually true to the current situation, to who I really believe I am? And then once you've done that part, here comes the part where we eliminate the conditioned opinions. So if that opinion came from someone else and you don't believe it to be true, just leave it there. Like, you can cross it out if that's helpful. What I tend to like to do is highlight the truths and leave the other ones just sitting there. But we have to eliminate those conditioned opinions because those are the ones that we're using to develop that belief system of other people that creates our opinion of ourselves. And that's not a strong opinion. If it's an opinion that was created by somebody else, there's no strength in that opinion because one, you actually don't even believe it yourself. But two, the opinion comes from, consider the source, right? It comes from a source who doesn't even really know the true essence of you. So, by eliminating those conditioned opinions, are you going to eliminate the narrative that's in your head that's attached to them? No. But what you can do and what you are going to do is you're going to think about whether you plan on carrying those narratives with you into your next. So, what strong opinion do I have of myself that originated from me, that originated from what God tells me about me? And I'm willing to carry that into my next, but I'm not willing to carry these other conditioned beliefs into my next. So I'm going to eliminate them. And the way we eliminate them is to really address the thoughts that come into our head and determine, like, have these conversations with yourself. Like, that thought comes into your head, you can say, okay, I appreciate that that thought is here, but I'm not going to any longer believe it to be true because I've eliminated that opinion about myself. There are times where, and I actually just had this conversation with my sister, where being in the struggle of toxic relationships caused me to not show up in the relationships that weren't toxic in a way that I actually wanted to show up. So I always wanted to be the cool aunt. Like, that was always my thing. And by my focusing on those toxic relationships for so many years, I wasn't actually the cool aunt that I aspired to be because I was too busy doing triage for the relationships that I was in. They knew that I cared about them, they knew that I loved them, but I wasn't going to be the one who, like, picked them up to take them out for ice cream, even though that's who I wanted to be. And so the conversation that I had with her was around how I had, thought that for years, and then a situation happened where one of my nephew reached out to me and said something, and I was just like, wow, he does know that I love him and I care about him. And my opinion of myself was that I was a pretty crappy aunt. But the actual truth in that situation is that I didn't have to do the ice cream dates in order for them to feel a certain feeling toward me. So I have to eliminate that opinion, the opinion that I created of myself that I wasn't a really good aunt in this space wasn't true. So the way that I eliminate that is when a thought comes into my head about, you should have done this better in the past. I just say to myself, I appreciate that to be so, but right now, like, they know that I love the heck out of them and they love me back. So you have to be able to block out those thoughts and eliminate the conversation that creates that opinions um, perpetuation, because if you keep listening to those thoughts, then that opinion is going to keep being true. It's the same way if you have an opinion about someone else. If you want to change your opinion about that person, then when those thoughts come into your head, you have to say, well, that's a story that I'm telling myself. That's not actually happening. And so that's how you eliminate the opinion. And then the last thing that we have to do if we're trying to create a strong opinion about ourselves is determine what's really true about your own opinion. Like, what is really true? What's left? Like, what things did you highlight? What things are left over? And then, do you really feel that way about yourself? Because once you determine what's really true, like what you actually 100% believe about you, it didn't come from anyone else, you know it to be true, you've internalized it, you've accepted it, and you trust that opinion. Then when you walk into rooms where the narrative about you is different, or you hear of conversations where the narrative about you is different, you will trust your own strong opinion of yourself. And then, therefore, that disallows people from writing their own story about you that you're choosing to believe. Because it is not your job to live in the world in a space where you're functioning in a way that's appeasing to other people if you also have to disalign with yourself to make that happen. It is your job to walk fully and wholly in the person that you are and the person that you were created to be, so that you can impact the people around you the way that you're supposed to. The only way to do that is to fully and 100% know exactly who you are. So when someone says, oh yeah, she thinks she knows everything, you can immediately say, no, I don't. I have a thirst for knowledge. And if I don't know something, I try to figure out the answer. I try to research the answer, but I certainly don't know everything. Like, you can know that about you, that what other people might perceive to be you being a know-it-all is just your quest for more knowledge. Or, I don't know, thinks that, she has the ability to do things that she doesn't. She has a heightened sense of herself. Well, that might be true. Maybe you do have a heightened sense of yourself, but maybe you say, yeah, because I struggled for years with my confidence and now I've built a self-esteem. So I know what I know about me, and I know what is true about me, and I know what I'm good at, and I'm willing to accept and believe that, where before I did not. And so the strong opinion isn't so you can annihilate other people's opinion of you, because their opinion of you doesn't matter. It's so that when you walk in a room, or when you walk into spaces, or when you're in conversation, or when you're reading the comments of your videos and people have negative things to say, that it doesn't impact you or affect you, because you know who you are. And that strong opinion that you've created is not rooted in the conditioning of the past, or what other people have to say about you, or what other people have said about you in the past. It is 100% rooted in your current reality and what you know to be true about who you are in this exact moment, and who you are aiming to be in your next moments. It's getting 100% real with that and latching on to your own opinion of you, so that the world around you can have 87 differing opinions and none of them will make you sway from knowing who you really are. So if you're in that space today and you're struggling with really understanding who you are, and getting rid of all of those negative opinions that other people have conditioned into you and placed on you, and you need somebody to help you through the process that I just walked you through, certainly you can reach out to me on all socials, go into my DMs, follow those pages, like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, all the things. And if you're trying to heal from the things that you can't erase, those childhood traumas that you've been experiencing, go ahead and click the link in the description so you can download my guide to Healing the Things We Can't Erase, which is a guide to helping you deal with those childhood traumas that don't just go away because you don't think about them, but continue to perpetuate in your life right now, and you need some help guiding you through those areas. I thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you for being loyal listeners and continuing to listen every week and allowing me to share the things that I've gone through and the parts of my testimony that I feel like will impact the people around me. If this story or video or lesson resonated with you, remember that information kept to yourself is selfish, but if this helped you break free from some bondage yourself, then it also could be the catalyst for helping other people break free from their own bondage. So go ahead and share this video, tag someone who you think it may be helpful for. I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you again next week.